Hopefully. Oh, good. I was just turning my Bluetooth off. I don't think I've ever gone live this late in the day, so we'll see how it goes. But I had some time, so I wanted to just like chill and hang out with you guys and answer any questions you may have. So as you hop on, say hello. Okay, if you are new to me and my page, I'm a law of assumption manifestation coach. So I'm just going live for a little bit here to like chit chat with you guys about that, answer any questions you might have. So feel free to say hello. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Hello, everyone hopping on. Thanks for the love. How's everyone's Tuesday? You doing good? Hello. You're from Minneapolis. Nice. I have not been there. I am in California, in Southern California. So yeah, everyone else hopping on, I was just explaining, I teach manifestation and law of assumption, law of attraction, all of those things. Law of assumption, but law of attraction for those of you who may not be familiar with law of assumption. So we're going to talk about that. If anyone has a question, you know, I can start to riff on it. You guys can ask me whatever questions. You get some free hot, like live coaching here with me and just vibe and hang out for a little bit. Hi from Montgomery County, New York. I haven't been there either. All these places I don't know of. Well, welcome everyone. I love connecting with you all. I love, you know, getting to chat on here with you guys who are my friends on here and followers and meeting new people. So welcome. I am from Southern California, since we're all saying where we're from. Happy new moon. Yes, Angel. Yes, thank you. And nice to see you again. Thanks for joining. I remember you from last time. Yes, New Jersey. I remember that. Sorry, hang on one second, guys. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, we're going to talk about law of assumption, manifestation. You love it here? Oh, that makes me so happy. I've really been enjoying going live. I don't have Facebook anymore, but when I have Facebook, I had like a group for the coaching and I would go live like on my personal page and in the group, and it was fun, but nothing compared to TikTok lives. And now I got rid of like all my social media except for TikTok and YouTube, and like I feel like those are my places, TikTok more so. But by the way, guys, for those of you who can't stay for the whole live and you want to catch the replay, or if you want to watch replays from the other lives, I upload them on my YouTube channel, which is linked at the top of my page, as well as, of course, like all the resources if you want coaching, readings, whatever. I have programs. I have my self-concept guide where I teach you how to manifest by mastering your self-concept. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, let me know. Okay. Having a little glass of wine here because it's evening here, early evening. But I figured it'd be fun to just vibe with you guys for a little bit because I have some time. So let me start. Like, drop a 1 in the comments below if you're familiar with law of assumption and manifestation. Let me know. That way I can kind of gauge who knows what's going on, and we'll take it from there. And feel free to like say hi to each other in the comments. Let me know where you're tuning in from, all the things. Okay, Dana, Spunky, both know. And Angel, yes, I know you know that about law of assumption. So yeah, drop a 1 in the comments below if you're familiar with law of assumption. If you don't know what law of assumption is and you want to know, we can talk about it. I'll just riff on that actually. Hello, love. Welcome. Hi. So hello, everyone hopping on. So basically, law of assumption is, you know, if you've seen The Secret or you're familiar with manifestation or law of attraction, it's along the same lines, only it takes it a step further. It's really like when I started really learning and understanding law of assumption, because I knew about it for years, but it didn't really make sense to me. And I don't know if I fully believed it until I was further along, like my conscious creation journey. It's really to help you take your power back. So it's really like assuming the position of life is happening through me, because of me, not to me. So when I was really ready to break out of victim mindset in my life, because I did not have a supportive childhood growing up. Like I was not really set up for success. So I'm someone who struggled in all areas of my life, like in my health, in love, relationships, friendships, money, career, you know, all the things. And I knew about manifestation. I knew about law of attraction, but it wasn't really like sinking in. I wasn't really getting results. Things weren't consistent until I learned about law of assumption and it took me a little while of studying it for it to really click in. But once I really started practicing it, which I can share with you guys how to do that if you would like, I can talk on that. That's when I started to notice huge shifts. And so much of this is about your self-concept. So we can dive into that too. And then if you have any questions, let me know. Okay. So law of assumption basically states that whatever you assume to be true is what will become true for you. That's going to be your experience. Now, if you're familiar with Abraham Hicks or law of attraction, I still like a lot of that content. Abraham Hicks mainly. They talk about, you know, whatever you focus on is what you're going to experience more of. So there's a couple ways you can look at it. You can look at it like from a quantum physics point of view, like everything already exists. This is kind of how I like to teach it. Understanding that every probability and possibility exists, right? Past, present, future are irrelevant. Time isn't linear. It's not linear, right? It's all happening at once. And so what that means is that with your attention, you can intentionally choose what you will focus on, and based off of what you focus is the reality you will experience, okay? And so as we're here on this 3D earth having a human experience, we have an experience of linear time, right? And the way that things often look like, what that allows us to experience as souls, right? Because we're infinite beings, we're spirit, we're not just human, right? We're having a human experience. What the illusion or the program of time, linear time, allows us to do is experience life as if it's an unfolding, right? So what we need to understand is that between the time you decide you want something and you receive it, sometimes there's a lag time. Can be 30 seconds when you're really in a non-resistant state, can be months, weeks, whatever, you know, can be any amount of time. Depends on how much resistance you have, okay? And hang on one second. My dog's licking his paws on the couch. Baby, this is gross. Can you do this over on your blanket? Thank you. I love you dearly. Sorry, it just like makes the couch stink when I have a little dog. I think it's a little dog thing. I was just talking with my friend about that last night. I was like, I think it's a little dog thing. They just like sit and lick their paws, like have at it, but not on the couch. He needs to do it on his blanket. Anyway, back to what we're doing. And then once I'm done on this riff, guys, I'll go back and like scroll through and look at the comments and respond to any questions. Okay. So don't worry, I'm going to get to you. So as this is happening, you know, we have this experience, like the way we're perceiving it is that things are coming into our reality, right? Things are coming into our experience, whether that's love coming towards you, whether that's money coming towards you, you know, whatever, whether that's the process of your body healing, you know, and this is what we understand with law of attraction, you know, and I think law of attraction can be really confusing for people because they're like, explain that you have to match the energetic frequency of what you want, which I can break that down very simply for you later if you want me to, remind me, okay? But people get really confused, you know. I remember I stayed confused for like a couple of years being like, well, how do I match the frequency of this, you know, or what if I'm not always feeling high vibe? Like, you know, sometimes life's happening and there's things you don't prefer. Law of assumption kind of surpasses all of that and says that you get to decide how life is going to work for you. Essentially, you choose what you want and then you get it. So what affects the time between when we decide what we want and when we receive our manifestation? Well, what's in between you and your manifestation really is nothing, because it's all you. It's all happening within your conscious awareness. We're all spirit. Everything's energy, right? Like unity consciousness. You're not separate from God. You're not separate from what you want. It's all connected. But what can keep it seeming separate from us within our conscious awareness is when we have when we perceive that we're separate from it due to limitations, right? So this is where limiting beliefs will come in. So let's say you don't believe you can have it, or you don't believe you're worthy of it, or you don't believe you can jump from A to Z quickly. You think there needs to be a process. So all of these things can affect how quickly it comes in, okay? So those things that seem to be in the way of you and your manifestation, we can call resistance. So since you're already one with your reality, since you can just choose what you want and then it can flow right into your experience, because you got to release anything that you think is in the way. When you're a clear and open channel to receive, as you release resistance, it's going to become quicker and quicker and easier, and you're going to just have a really beautiful, consistent unfolding of good things of what you want, and an experience of the good things in your life growing and expanding and becoming more and more. You can think of like resistance like you're tight, you're not letting a lot in, right? Let's say a horse with blinders on, can't see a whole lot. But as you relax, as you soften, a lot of this has to do with nervous system regulation. This is part of what I teach. As you shed the limiting beliefs, the small ideas of yourself, the limits, you open up to more. And as you open up to more, what it allows you to do is to perceive more. So let's say we take the blinders off, then you have peripheral vision. You can see more. You can see more of what's around you. So the idea is to keep releasing the resistance, the limits, the stories we've made up, whatever we think is in the way, and allow ourselves to receive more. Okay? I hope that makes sense. I know that was kind of a lot, so let me scroll back through the comments, and if anyone has any questions, feel free. Like if there's anything I said that you want me to go deeper into that didn't make sense, I'd love to clarify. And let me read what we got going on here. And thank you to everyone who's here. Thank you for everyone who's joining. Happy to have you here. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Okay, first comment. What would I suggest for someone who drinks too much caffeine? Drum, are you still here? I mean, there's so many ways you can take this, okay? So I would love to know, is this for you or someone else? Like, do you feel like you're taking too much caffeine? Okay, so we can look at two things. So I actually, in my one program, Emotional Rehab, I go deeply into like healing the patterns, the energetic patterns, and the self-concepts that cause addiction, okay? So it's really about taking your power back. So there's two ways you can approach this, and I would typically recommend a combination of the two, okay? You can look at something and be like, do I feel like this is a self-destructive pattern? Do I feel like this pattern and this behavior is loving? Is it serving me? If your answer is no, you can look at how can I show up for myself and honor myself, because that's a really, truly an act of self-love, to honor myself and not do this thing that's sabotaging me. Essentially not do this behavior that feels bad, okay? So whenever we're feeling like we're doing something or thinking something that doesn't feel good, we want to first stop that, because if you're in alignment with yourself and your truth based off of how you're feeling. Are you feeling good or are you feeling bad, right? Do you feel like you're honoring yourself and being your best version, or do you feel like you're not, okay? So one would be to look at that really honestly and look at how you can support yourself in that. Another thing you can do, and I really love helping clients with this because I don't believe there's a right or wrong way to act, right? I believe you're in full control of your reality. It's your experience. Have at it. Do as you please. You get to have what you want. Would be to shift your beliefs around this, right? So perhaps you've been to a practitioner or a doctor, or you've just like heard that caffeine is bad for you, or maybe someone's told you have too much caffeine, or maybe you're experiencing a condition in your body and someone or you, some way, somehow, has decided that this has something to do with your caffeine consumption, okay? You can ask yourself, do I want to be right about that? And that's a big leap. A lot of people aren't there as far as like taking their power back and understanding that they really are creating their reality with what they choose to believe. But I do want to remind you that your beliefs are completely optional. A belief is only a story you continue to tell yourself. It's a thought you continue to think, okay? As we continue to think thoughts repetitively, they form neural pathways in our brain, okay? So when you're really like understanding this deeply, and again, it really depends on where you're at, okay? And with my clients, by the way, I meet you where you're at, because I always just want you to get results and be on your path of least resistance. There's no right or wrong way to do this. but you can ask yourself, like, does this belief limit me? Like, do you really enjoy energy drinks and coffee or whatever your source of caffeine is? Like, do you love it? Is that something you want to give up? If not, you have the option to shift your beliefs and choose to believe that you get to have amazing health, eat and drink what you want, and feel amazing and look amazing. This is what I've personally done because I'm someone who, okay, so for those of you who don't know my backstory, I don't want to get too deep into it, but I experienced a lot of abuse growing up. So what that looked like was a lot of trauma stored in my body. I was in a constant state of fight or flight, which, when you're under stress that long causes a myriad of health issues. And so basically I had a lot of digestive issues since I was a baby, and then it kind of snowballed. And by the time I was in college, I had an autoimmune, and like I had a ton of food allergies, a lot of restrictions around what I could eat. I was experiencing acne, like I wasn't like feeling good in my body, like a lot of things going on. And I kept going to different specialists, trying to like figure out how to heal this, doing all the supplements, doing all the diets, all the protocols. If you guys have been there, And I remember like the last practitioner I went to was like a naturopathic doctor, and he was telling me like, oh, you can only eat like this little small list of foods. Like all my favorite foods were not on there. And I remember one day just being like, damn it, Hannah, like this fucking sucks. Like I don't agree to this. I don't consent to this. I'm not going to accept this limit. So it was like, I had to kind of get like super fed up, and I just was like, screw it. And I threw it all. Like I literally like took everything I knew and threw it all away. And I just was like, you know what? I know enough about the law of attraction. I know enough about manifestation to understand that the natural state of my body is whole, healed, and complete. And I am no longer available for these fucking limits. And I kind of got to the point where I was like, okay, if I eat something that I really like and it gives me a stomach ache, so what? My stomach's hurting all the time anyway. I was like, I just want to be happy. And and I didn't so I started testing the limits with food. Of course, if there's a day where I felt like I really didn't feel good in my body, I would kind of like lean back and like, fall back on the foods that I knew I felt like better off of. But when I really had a craving for something, like if I really wanted mozzarella sticks or something, I would like let myself just have a few. And I was kind of testing the water. Like, let me just have a little bit and like see how it goes. Like intending that my body would get better and better at digesting food. And within a very short period of time, I experienced like huge, like beautiful changes in my body. Like my skin cleared up. I wasn't so bloated. I was able to eat a lot more. And then like now a couple years later, I eat absolutely anything I want. I don't gain weight. I don't get breakouts. Like my body's amazing, and I don't go to doctors, and I don't like put my health in someone else's hands. But that was a process of me deconditioning from everything we've been taught about health, our body, food, disease, all of the things, right? And that was a decision I made to know and trust that perfect health was my birthright, right? So if I can do it, you can do it too, right? And then there's a side of like, the practical side, what you do in the physical, like doing actions that line up with who you want to be and acting from a space of self-love in a way that's like honoring yourself and taking care of yourself. And this really ties into like the addiction. So here's the other thing too. Like as I started working on healing my emotions, I stopped overeating. So this was another pattern I had. I had all the issues with the food and body. And then I also noticed that I would emotional eat. Okay. And if you struggle with this, it doesn't feel good. It's like all the guilt. You physically don't feel good, right? Like, so I started really just being like, instead of just mindlessly going for food, I would just tune in. Am I actually hungry? And I would ask myself, is this actually what I need? Or like, do I need to sit with myself and like process some emotions? Or do I need to like go for a walk or go move the energy or just whatever, right? And then when I wanted a food, I honored that. I let go of the idea that I couldn't eat past a certain time or that I needed to eat certain amount of foods of certain food groups every day. I literally just started intuitively eating, meaning I ate whatever I wanted in a way that felt good and honored me. So I hope that makes sense. It wasn't like I went totally crazy and binge ate, because I actually think that usually comes from a space of like imbalanced emotions, right? So I was working at this from like coming at it from several different angles. I hope this makes sense. I would say for sure, like just decide what you want to believe about that. Like, what's too much caffeine? Like, who decides that? Like, I don't look at nutrition labels because I'm like, who the fuck made this shit up? Like, what's even like, who decided what a calorie is? And like, do I want to be limited by this? It's like, no, I'm going to eat what I want to eat. And I choose to believe that my body looks, feels, and functions the way I want. And I eat what I want. And it feels good to not overeat at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, I don't struggle with overeating or emotional eating at all. Like, and this was me. I noticed that kind of came naturally as I, one, was paying attention to working through my emotions, two, loving myself and prioritizing feeling good. So if I knew eating a whole bag of chips wasn't going to feel good, I'm not going to eat a whole bag of chips. I'll just have a few, right? Having an abundance mindset instead of a scarcity mindset, reminding myself that I'm just going to eat like a little amount or whatever amount feels good. And I can always go back and get more if I want more. And also like dropping all the judgments around food, like all the screwy beliefs we have, because food is an area where we're really, really conditioned. A lot of people are in a lot of fear about food. I believe Abraham Hicks talks about this. She's like, you know, if you're going to eat the cake like and feel shitty about it, then you're going to have shitty results from eating the cake. But if you can like line up your beliefs, like back up your decision with like choosing to believe that like you're supported no matter what decision you make, that you can do as you please and get what you want, like it's not going to affect you. It's going to be a good experience. So there's so many layers to this. I hope that helped answer your question. I went off on a riff. This is something to go deeply into in emotional rehab. So if anyone's like interested in this work, you might want to check that out. Thanks for all the love, guys. Everything is linked at the top of my bio. So all the replays of the lives I put on my YouTube channel, which is linked in my bio, like on my profile, my self-concept guide, where I teach you how to manifest based off mastering your self-concept. It's like an ebook and workbook that I created, and I explain it very thoroughly. That's there. It's like an instant download. I have self-paced programs, like all sorts of things. Email coaching, readings, all the things. So you can check it out. And if you like this content, follow me because I go live at least once a week and I post stuff every day. I'm going to keep scrolling through the comments. But yeah, whoever asked that question, if you're still here, let me know how that resonated, or if you have any specific questions, I would love to help you. I'm going to scroll through. Okay. Angel says, help with quantum jumping. Okay. So I'm going to explain this to you in like the most simple way I figured this out. One, I want to really bring up, you want to pay attention to the state you're embodying, aka how you're feeling, okay? Pause for a little sip of vino. Are you embodying a state that's like lackful, meaning I don't have it, where is it, how can I make it happen, where I'm at is not okay, I need to get over here in this reality to be happy? It's kind of rooted in fear. You can feel it's tight, it's restrictive, it's stressed. It's not present in the moment because you're resisting where you're at. So check in with yourself energetically. Are you there? Or are you in this fun, like, wow, anything's possible. I'm an infinite being. I am a limitless creator. I can be, do, and have whatever I want. And wow, I'm going to choose what I want, and I'm just going to relax and let it come in. And I'm going to enjoy where I'm at because I understand that no reality is wrong, and I'm here, and I manifested being here, and I can have appreciation for that. Kind of like being grateful and excited, grateful for where you're at and excited for what's to come. You know, there are two different energetic states. One's going to feel contracted, small, tight, not fun, not appreciating, not present, which is totally fine. I've been there. Like, this is a human thing. We all do this. The other is open, relaxed, receptive, appreciative, present in the moment. I'll tell you, one of the fastest ways to quantum leap is to be present. And it's ironic because it's like, you're like, well, I'm identifying that I want this thing that's not here. I want to be in another timeline. I want to experience something, you know, sometimes we want to do a whole turnaround of our lives, right? And big magical shifts can happen. You know, I'm not knocking that. I fully preach this all day, every day. I've experienced that myself, and I've watched it with clients too. But when we're trying to force it to happen, when we're needing it to happen, when we're not giving ourselves permission to be where we are, we're not giving ourselves permission to enjoy life and feel good about ourselves and be present, it's not going to happen because there's too much resistance, okay? So, Angel, what I would recommend with this and I go deeply into this in Manifestation Mastery, okay, is to decide what you want. Get clear. Like, pick whatever method you want. For me, I personally really like scripting, because I like to make lists. I'm very detailed. You could visualize, whatever technique you like. Just decide what you want and work through any beliefs that tell you you can't have it. And just be present in your now, knowing with full certainty that what you want will unfold. You could wake up in a new reality. It could unfold in a very natural, logical seeming way. We want to work on not controlling the when and the how. We want to acknowledge, not that there's a power outside of us, but as humans, we're only looking through this one little lens. The greater part of you is spirit. You have your inner being, if you want to call it that, your higher self. You're a multidimensional being. You're so supported, okay? And there sometimes are other factors at play that we don't see, okay? So sometimes it's easy to get in our human minds and be like, I want this and I want it now. I wanted it yesterday. Where is it? Like, if I'm infinite, if I can have it, where is it? But ironically, it's like that energy that keeps us apart from it. So the more you can relax and just know and trust that everything's going to be worked out for you, best case scenario, you get to choose what you want. There's nothing off limits. There's nothing that's wrong to want or choose. You can literally have whatever you want, but you let it be worked out for you, okay? Understand that the process of how it unfolds isn't your job. Your only job is to decide what you want and then be a clear and open channel so that you can receive it in the best way possible. And try to let go of any attachment to how it needs to look, okay? I see this with clients a lot with like a specific person, for example. Like, they want to be in a relationship with a certain person. So if you're familiar with Law of Assumption, guys, Law of Assumption, a big topic within the Law of Assumption community is manifesting an SP or a specific person, okay? And they can get so hung up on that they like are tuning out the guidance from their higher selves around what they really want. So sometimes we can latch onto something. We see something that we want, and that's great. You can have it, but you're kind of missing the point of what that represents to you. So let me dive into this a little deeper. You're like, I want this person, but maybe what your higher self or your soul sees, and if this feels limiting, guys, don't buy into this, okay? This is just how I perceive it and how I teach, but, subject to change, subject to greater understanding of this. But sometimes when we get so attached to it needing to come through a certain person or come a certain way or look a certain way, we're actually like cutting ourselves off from someone or something that could be even better, okay? So a really good statement you can use when you're deciding what you want to be in your power to decide, but also kind of hold a little space for magic and miracles and like something even better, is to say this or something better. I am only available for this or better, or this and better, okay? And then be open to how and when it shows up, okay? Because sometimes, what if you are right? What if that is what you want, the person you want to be with? But what if you need to have another experience or date someone else in the meantime? Like, you don't know your own unique journey. Does that make sense? So there's a little bit of like surrendering to the process and like trusting, in my personal opinion, okay? Because sometimes what I've seen, and I've done this, I actually said this, I think on my last live, I did this with my last relationship, with my last ex, where I manifested a specific person, and it was like a very underwhelming experience. I got the person I wanted and was like, yeah, I don't actually like this relationship. This doesn't do it for me. So it helped me. What's been helpful for me, and is helpful for a lot of my clients, is to kind of get clear on like, what does that person or that specific thing? I know, Angel, you asked about quantum jumping, and now I'm using like an SP example, but I hope that this is making sense and you know how to apply it. Like, if it's a specific job you want, or a specific amount of money, or a specific person you want, or whatever it is, I want you to help you go more general. I want you to list out like, what is it about that specific thing that appeals to you? What do you like about it? How does it feel? Who are you in that relationship? Who are you with that amount of money? How do you feel? What are you free to do? How different does your life look and feel when you have that person or that thing? And then instead of hyper focusing on the thing outside that you perceive to be outside of you, like the job, like the money, like the business, like the person, I want you to focus that energy, reverse the dynamic, and put that energy back on you. I'm loved. I'm chosen. I'm adored. I'm treated like a queen. I'm rich as fuck. I can afford whatever I want. I'm so successful. My body is beautiful. Like, I have amazing health. And focus on that, because as you do that, you're going to be an energetic match so much more quickly, because you're taking on the identity of a person who has that thing. And then you're not so attached to how it shows up. You know, you can like leave a little room for the universe, which is you, you know, it's other aspects of you, to surprise and delight you, as Abraham Hicks would say. Is this making sense? Let me know. Okay. I know I just like go on these riffs, you know. It's so fun for me to get on here and talk about this though, because I could talk about this stuff all day. I'm scrolling back to like get back to the comments, but anyone who's like question I've addressed, feel free to comment again and let me know if there's something that didn't make sense, or anyone if you have like more questions or want to go in deeper. Okay. Let me see. Sorry. I love when the like Christians go down here and say they're going to pray for me. I'm like, okay, thanks. You know? Okay. Dana says, great explanation. Spunky says, think the thoughts that match what you want and you can have what you want. It is law. Cannot say it better. Spot on. That's it, guys. And the thing is, like, if you're used to thinking, so let's talk a little bit about reprogramming, because I talked in the beginning about like when you think a thought over and over, that forms a belief. And that forms, like, if you want to look at this scientifically, like the physical to prove it to your brain, you know, we'll be kind to our minds. That forms a neural pathway in your brain, meaning when you think a thought over and over, that feels natural. That's what you become programmed for. So when you're thinking new thoughts, like let's say you're programmed to think that money's difficult, it's hard to come by, it's hard to earn, there's never enough, like that feels really real to you. You probably have created a lot of evidence in your 3D reality to support that belief, because that's a belief that consciously or unconsciously you've chosen to accept, okay? And like as kids, you know, we just get programmed with stuff and we just accept what we're told. We don't really question it. I kind of did, because I was a little brat, but you know, Scorpio child over here, a little strong-willed. But still, like I received programming that I had to decondition from, right? So, but as an adult, you have the option, you're able to choose to override that. You're able to choose something new. But what you need to understand is that as you're reprogramming, as you're telling a new story, so instead of the old story that like money's hard to come by, it's hard to earn, there's never enough, yada, yada, you be like, money flows to me easily and effortlessly. Money making opportunities are all around me. I don't even have to work for money. Money can come to me in surprising ways. I'm rich. I'm abundant. I always have more than enough. And it's going to sound like bullshit to your brain, because your brain's like, yeah, well, bitch, look around you. Like, that's not the case, right? But there's only a lack of evidence to support your new beliefs, because you haven't been drilling them in long enough. So you have to be committed to telling the new story. And if you will persist, we talk about this a lot in Law of Assumption community, if you will persist in your new assumption, it will be made manifest. Because at some point, let's say this is the old shitty belief system. This is here, okay? Money's difficult, not enough, lack mindset. And you're starting down here. I'm abundant. Your brain's like, no, I'm not. You know, you just gotta go up. I'm abundant. Money's easy. Money flows to me with ease. There's more than enough. I'm creating my reality. I can be rich. I am rich. Eventually, you know, once you pass this point, this is the neutrality point. I think we talked about this in the last live, which I've uploaded to YouTube but haven't published yet, but feel free, YouTube's linked in my bio to get all the replays, including this one. You know, when you get to this neutrality place, when your new beliefs kind of meet here, this is where you'll feel typically like you'll feel at peace. you're kind of like neutral. You kind of don't care. You're like, I'm good with or without it. You know for sure it's coming, but you're like, yeah, it can come when and how it comes. You don't care. And that is always a sign you are like right at the tipping point, primed for your breakthrough. Because as soon as your new story takes over, this is the dominant one. It doesn't matter if it's like 1% more dominant. This one holds no weight anymore. Of course, it's always an option for you to slip back into doubting, right? Like, for example, there's people who have a lot of money who are in constant fear of losing it. So they may feel, I used to do this with money. I would yo-yo a lot. Like I would do this feast famine cycle where I made a lot of money. I would spend it, but then I'd feel guilty and afraid, and I would just kind of bounce between states. And it was like, I never broke past a certain threshold, and I was always like stressed and anxious, right? So you just have to be consistent with telling the story that you want, and that will win. And eventually it's just going to flood it out. You can think like, so I got some wine in this glass. If I were to, I'm not going to demonstrate this obviously, but if I were to pour water in this glass, eventually the wine would flow out. And if I kept pouring, it would just be water in the glass, right? So you can think of it like that. Every time you affirm for what you want, you're flushing out the old beliefs. And I want to remind you guys that every thought you think is an affirmation. So I see coaches on here saying that like you don't have to affirm. I don't fucking believe that, okay? You don't have to sit and robotically affirm all day, but anytime you think of your manifestation, I want you to, at minimum, affirm that everything's working out for you. It's done. It's mine. I got it. It's in the bag. It's being worked out for me. It's already done. I've already decided, right? Like really owning that when you decide, that's what you get, okay? So I'm seeing some hearts. Let me know how that was for you guys. I'm going to scroll down and read more comments. Can I read the Jesus one out loud? Jesus loves you dearly, in all caps. How can I pray for you? Your affirmations, your thoughts are prayers. I literally heard someone say the other day, and it landed so perfectly, that worry is praying for what you don't want. Okay? So you're praying all day, every day, guys. Think in alignment with who you want to be. Okay. Angel says, I literally just finished creating a meme. I don't know how to create a meme. That's awesome. About it all happening at the same time. That's awesome. Yeah, it's crazy when we think about it, right? It's like you're here in this avatar playing out this role of this specific character, but like you're all of it. Like when you understand that everyone is you pushed out concept, like not only is your past and every past life and timeline happening at the same time in your future, like you're all of the characters. Like you're like God dressed up, disguising yourself from yourself so you can have this experience of being human. Like it's really trippy when I really think about it. Sometimes I got to just come back to basic human things and be like, okay, Hannah, just do what's in front of you. Because my mind's like, whoo, it's my Aquarius rising. Okay. Ray says, I'm Ray. Yesterday I met a beautiful 27-year-old woman in Casio. I'm 65 and we have a hot love connection. Awesome. Pursue whatever is meaningful to you. Okay. Skin ticket. Sorry guys, sometimes it's hard for me to read these names. When the old story is playing out and you persist with the new one, is that what is next if persisted on? Yes. Okay, so I think I answered this when I was explaining, I know I answered this when I was explaining the old story and this, okay? So you have to understand there is a little bit of a delay, okay? And the more consistent you are with this, the more you practice this, the less of a delay there will be. Also, you're going to be more convinced of your power as a manifester, and you're really going to be convinced that what you want is yours, and you're not going to care to control it anymore. But I know in the beginning, it's like we grasp tightly because we've likely had an experience of not getting what we want, and now you're like, well, I want to get what I want, And I just want to remind you, wherever you're at in your journey is perfect. Like what I always tell my clients, and what I would tell my younger self if I could go back and tell her anything, is like, keep going and keep growing. Like keep going at it. Like you don't have this desire within you for nothing, okay? Like even if you feel like you're going in circles, you're trying all the things, keep going. Keep asking for help. Like asking, this is actually, I'm going to give you guys such a good tip. This is one of my favorite things ever. Before you go to sleep, ask your subconscious mind for a question, okay? So I kind of stumbled upon this by accident because I used to do this thing where I'd be like, okay, I don't want to set an alarm, but I want to wake up by this certain time. And I'll kind of think about it before I went to bed. Okay, I want to be up by 7, you know? And like clockwork, I would wake up like 5 to 3 minutes before. And I was like, whoa, this is trippy. This is crazy. But that's the power of your subconscious mind. It will literally give you whatever you want, okay? And right before sleep is a really powerful time. This is why I love affirmation tracks at night, or like to do a visualization before you go to bed, or read your affirmations before bed, or listen to affirmation tracks while you sleep, or subliminal, you know. Do whatever works for you, but before night is really good because you want to know why? Because you're consciously intending something, you're consciously choosing something. So even if you're using a nighttime track that you're going to listen to while you sleep, you're intentionally, while you're awake, choosing which one you want to listen to, and then your conscious mind's going to sleep. Like that little 5% of your brain that keeps you stuck, because your conscious is 5% and your subconscious is 95%. The little 5% that's like sometimes your worst enemy is asleep, it's knocked out, it's not interfering. So there's no resistance, okay? So something you can do is before you go to bed, ask for a question. Ask a question. Ask for a sign if you want. Be like, show me what's in the way. Show me what I need to see. Be like, state your intention. I want this. I want to experience this. What do I need to see and understand within myself? What action do I need to take? What do I need to see differently? What do I need to know? And you'll get an answer. You'll be shocked at how quickly you get an answer. Guys, if this is stuff you like, you also could check out, I never talk about this offer that I have, but it's only like, I'm on here going to tell you this and I don't even know the price. I want to say it's $8.99, but it's a manifestation workbook and planner. So there is like a planner because I like planning, like I'm a list person, like I said, but there's a bunch of worksheets in it. Like there's one to help you connect with your intuition. There's a scripting one. There's one to like check in with yourself and your emotions. Like I have a bunch of different worksheets, and it's, I have it. So it's like, you're going to see my tech side. I took a long time figuring out how to change it so it's like you can edit it on your computer, so you can use it on, if you're someone who likes to do this on your computer or your tablet, like your iPad, you can, or you can print it if you're like me and I like to write things out physically, okay? So there's like a bunch of worksheets and stuff, and like, you know, like planners, affirmations, like a bunch of things you can do. So if this sounds good and you want a tool, that could be a good tool for you too. Since I've literally never talked about it. It's like everything's linked in my profile. You can see all the things. Okay. So let me keep reading through here. Hello, Joe. Welcome. Yes, the new story gets played out in the 3D. Yes, it does. Everything that's showing up, there's a lag time. Everything that's showing up is because you were either consciously or unconsciously thinking and feeling and believing in alignment with that. As soon as you shift your beliefs, you'll start to get new results, okay? On that note, oh my gosh, this is perfect because of the next question. Let me read the next question because this is the perfect segue into what I wanted to talk about. Dana says, and Dana, let me know if you're still here. If not, I hope you catch the replay. How to deal with getting discouraged when manifesting SP doesn't seem to have movement, okay? So this is where, and I'm sorry guys, hang on, I want to just check my phone real quick. Give me 1 minute break, hang on. My girlfriend's at dinner and she's like texting me what she's eating. I can text her later. We got things to talk about here. Okay, love her, but we're busy. Okay, so what happens, so getting discouraged when you're working on actively manifesting something, but you're not seeing movement, okay? So you got to understand, here's your old story. You've been feeding it likely unconsciously, right? Like likely this was like what you were programmed with, you know, you experienced life to be this way, so you formed beliefs about it. And here's your belief system, whatever it is. And because this is your belief system, this is what's been pushed out into your 3D. This is what you're experiencing. And here you are becoming aware that you create your reality, ready to take your power back. So you're affirming for what you want. You've identified that you don't fucking want this shit anymore. You're like, fuck this, I'm done. So you start affirming. But then you look around, you're like, you're at this level and you're like, I don't see anything different. What the fuck? And then you kind of revert back to the old story. This is what a lot of people do. And then it's just this like vicious cycle of like feeling better and then never really getting any movement because you don't persist long enough. If you would just persist and understand, okay, yeah, okay, I understand. I don't see it yet. That's okay. I'm not going to assign a negative meaning to this because I know that I create my reality. And I know that if I keep persisting and feeding the old story, it's going to take over and this one's going to be gone. Okay? So one of my favorite Neville Goddard quotes, and I'm not going to get it verbatim, is that things wither and die with indifference. Okay? Literally, just like if you have a plant and you ignore it, it's going to die. That's the same with your old reality, with your old story. So you just have to understand when you're seeing stuff in the 3D that you don't like, or when you're seeing no movement, understand that it's temporary. Don't feed any attention into it, okay? The way you get rid of problems is you cut off their life support supply, which is your attention, because that's how powerful you are. You create and experience what you focus on, okay? So when there's no movement, I know it's frustrating. And I know it's tempting when you see there's no movement to be like, is this even working? Am I wasting my time? What am I doing wrong to do all these things? But I want to remind you that like sometimes you don't see movement until the last minute, until like the 11th hour, right? Like, you know that quote, don't quit 5 minutes before your miracle. I think that like applies really well here, because what we don't realize is that like we're here having this human experience. What we can see, taste, touch, and smell is such a tiny percentage of what's actually going on. Everything's energy. There's so much work behind the scenes. Like specifically with a specific person, you have no idea what's going through their mind, okay? And in fact, you have way more influence over that than you realize. Instead of being like, they're not texting me, they must be with someone else or whatever. I used to do this, so I'm not putting words in your mouth. I don't know what your specific situation is because I haven't worked with you, but like I used to do this. I'd be like, oh my God, I bet they're seeing someone else. You know, like all of these nonsense stories, and it would make me feel like shit. And then like I would end up manifesting that because I persisted in that. Whereas if you can just be delusional as fuck, be like, oh, they're not, you can make up a story if you want. You can be as delusional as you want to be. There's no right or wrong way to do this. You can be like, oh, they're just like so in love with me. They literally don't even know how to handle they're having to like come to grips with their emotions for me because I'm just that amazing. And then I would put it back on me and be like, who wouldn't want to be with me? Like, I'm such a catch. I can see how that would be intimidating, but I know they're going to come to their senses soon, obviously. Like, why wouldn't they? You know, you can be funny and delusional, or you can just like focus on, I know it's mine. I don't have to control this. It's all working out in my favor. And anything that looks like a setback, you want to apply your new belief system to it. So the version of you who's a victim, who doesn't get what they want, has shitty things happen to them, right? The version of you who is not a victim, who is empowered, who gets what they want, looks and says, everything works in my favor. They don't assign a negative meaning. This version assigns a negative meaning. This version assigns a positive meaning. So you can either just stay neutral and be like, nope, I know it's all working out. Or you can go in and assign a positive meaning if you want and like, you know, be delusional, whatever feels good to you. And you may find that like certain techniques feel good and then it feels better to go general for a little bit. Or you may just be someone who loves to be like very specific and just hammer in your affirmations. For me, I'm a little more like, I don't like to just lean back and let it happen. I don't like to hammer in affirmations all day, every day. I like to like affirm when it feels good, and I script, and I'll be as ridiculous as I want. I'll be as general as I need to be. And then when I feel resistance, I just go play and have fun and like do my human shit and like be really present and just know deep down that things are working out and I don't have to control it. Like, does that make sense? I hope that helped. Okay. Natalie says, do you feel when you release a lot of resistance that good and bad things flow at first? It really depends. I don't want to put limiting beliefs on you because I've seen some coaches being like, oh, when you decide what you want, everything falls apart and shit hits the fan. And like, I feel like that's like maybe not so necessary. And I don't really wish that upon anyone. I have experienced that before. I'm not going to lie. And you know, from a practical standpoint, look, let's say you're in a shitty relationship and you want an amazing relationship. Well, if you get out of the shitty relationship, it's going to be a lot easier to like call in and align with the amazing relationship, right? But I don't want to ever put a limit on what you can or can't have or how it needs to go because, you know, things don't need to take a long time to unfold. Things don't need to happen in a certain process, like on a certain linear timeline. Things don't have to get worse. Like, you can affirm, and this is something that I affirm that every day in every way, my life is getting better and better easier and easier. It's easier and easier for me to up level. It's easier and easier for me to receive more and more. The better it gets, the better it gets. You can also set the intention, right? So tell the universe, tell God, your higher self, your angels, your guides, whatever the fuck you believe in, however you connect. There's no right or wrong way to connect. It's all you. You just say like, I'm ready for a change and I want this change. State what it is and let it be easy. Help me let this be easier than ever before. Help me get out of my own fucking way. Like, help me see whatever I need to see. Allow me to be a cooperative component, as Abraham Hicks would say. Drop a 1 in the comments below if you're an Abraham Hicks fan, if you know what I'm talking about. By the way, guys, just to know, I love Abe. Intend that it's a smooth and easy transition. Intend that it's stress-free. Intend that it feels really natural and you're very supported. If you want a quick change, intend that you get quick, immediate, instant results, and that happens in a beautiful and magical way. You can literally intend for anything you want, okay? For me, like, I intend that, I intend the way I just affirmed for you guys. I went on a little rampage here. I intend like that. But I also don't freak out if I see something that looks bad. I don't assign a negative meaning to it, I always look at, like, when I feel like there's a door closed, I just look at that as a redirection. I'm always like, well, everything's working in my favor. I can handle it. I'm strong. I can redirect. I can rework this energetically. I can shift. I can look at this differently. I'm smart. I'm resourceful. I can take whatever life throws at me, although I don't think life is throwing anything at me. I think I'm creating. But, also understanding, like, we don't always know why things are happening the way they're happening, right? Like, we have so many thoughts. We're so fucking powerful. We don't even realize that you don't know why things are happening the way they are. One of the best things to do is just make the decision, like, decide to trust and know that everything's working out for you. This whole lucky girl syndrome movement on here, I'm so on board with that because that's something I've been practicing for a while. Like, before it was a thing, I didn't call it that. I just was like, everything's working out for me. And now I'm like, yeah, I'm the lucky girl. I'm that bitch. Like, before that, if you guys follow Sammy Ingram on YouTube, I don't know if she has TikTok, but she's one of the first YouTubers I heard actually speak about law of assumption. And I knew about her for a couple years before it actually clicked in my brain. Like, she teaches it really well. Some people, she's very, like, kind of matter of fact about it. Like, it can kind of trigger people when they're not really understanding their power to decide. Like, it triggered me back in the day. But she talks about, like, what is she? Oh my gosh, now I lost my train of thought. Oh, she used to say, like, I'm the woman who has it all. That was one of her affirmations. And that one really resonated with me. So before this whole lucky girl syndrome, I was like, I'm the woman who has it all. Of course, everything's working out for me. Of course, I got the love. Of course, I got the money. Of course, I got the body. Like, duh. Like, so you can just decide how you want it to work for you. And whenever you see things that you don't love, just relax. Trust that it's not here to stay. I think literally my last video, that I posted, I don't know, because I just film them when I get in the mood and then I put them in drafts and so I forget which videos I post. But, I was saying like that. Oh, what was I saying? Guys, do you see how my brain works? I forget what I was saying. We're moving on. Sorry, guys. I'm also drinking some wine, so, Natalie also said, all the momentum you had. Okay, let me read this in conjunction with the last comment. Do you feel when you release love resistance that the good and bad things flow at first, all the momentum you had? Are you talking, Natalie, if you're still here, are you talking about like when you see movement, sometimes it looks like it's getting better and that looks like it's getting worse? You always want to just stick with your new story and just know that whatever's happening, you don't need to control how it's unfolding. Maybe some things need to fall apart, Maybe there's an in-between step that you need to take that's going to help you shift your perspective, something you need to learn, something your soul wants you to experience before you get to where you want to be. Maybe you wake up one day and you're just there, like, who knows? Who cares? You're going to get what you want. And one thing I say to my clients when they're really struggling with being consistent is like, guys, remember the time is going to pass either way, okay? Whether you get it in 10 days or 10 years. I don't ever want to affirm for anyone that their manifestation is going to take 10 years, but like, who fucking knows? You know, like, you can decide, of course, but there's also this part of like our humans just, there's things that we don't know and can't understand fully because we're here having a 3D experience. We don't like, we're not consciously aware of everything. We don't know how the sun is in the sky. Like, right. We don't know certain things logically. Our higher self does, but like us as a human can't fully wrap our brains around that. The time's going to pass either way. How do you want to experience life? Do you want to experience life assuming that you're having setbacks, or do you want to experience life knowing that for certain that what you want is yours and it's going to unfold perfectly? When you can have that assumption that everything's working out perfectly for you, that you're going to get what you want, you drop the resistance, you drop the stress, and what that allows you to do is be really fucking present and enjoy what you have. And ironically, you know, like that's the vibe that attracts more good things, more things to be grateful for and enjoy. And I really believe like that there are no mistakes, you know, like you're always perfect where you are. You're actually right where you need to be. And you wouldn't be where you are if there wasn't something for you to learn. And yeah, we are where we are because of what we believe. But like, if you believe that you're infinite and that like, there's no way you could fuck it up, like that means that like no reality is bad to experience. So you're here, so experience it. Like I used to like experience this when I would go on vacation. So I travel a lot. And I'm a little bit bougie. Like, I'm just going to be honest. Like, I'm a little bougie. I like the finer things in life. And sometimes if I would, like, be somewhere and it wasn't living up to my expectations, or I, like, go to a restaurant, it's not quite what I want, or I'm walking through, like, this part of this country and I'm like, this isn't, I'm like, so what, Hannah? Like, this is valid too. Like, be here and enjoy it. Okay, you ended up in, like, the ghetto in South America. Like, just, like, vibe with it. Enjoy it, you know? Like, it's valid too. And, like, find the beauty in where you are. Like, instead of being where you are and resisting this, like, you can always leave. You can always go somewhere else, but, like, you are where you are. Like, stop fighting yourself. Like, love yourself enough to not resist where you are. Your guys' names crack me up. Literally, his name is Bloody Pouch. More caffeine. You know what? If you like caffeine, have at it. You can do whatever you want. Back to the caffeine comment from earlier for those of you who've been here the whole time. If you've been here for the whole time, drop a heart emoji below in the comments. I want to know who's been here since the beginning. Angel says my aura looks really beautiful right now. Well, thank you very much. Let Granny Talk says hello, beautiful young lady. Hello back. And Jerry says most people don't have the same self-control. Yeah, self-control is like definitely something you learn. You know, like the irony is that like it's kind of like a catch-22 where we think that discipline's going to restrict us. But oftentimes discipline is like the very thing that sets us free. It's like the most self-loving thing we can do. And I never say discipline, like you don't ever want to like limit yourself based off of what you think you should do. You should really just honor what feels right to you. This, I believe, is going back to when I went on a riff at the beginning of the live talking about like deconditioning from all the belief systems around food and our bodies and healing addictions and all of these things. Like it's never about anyone else's limits or belief system or what you think you should do or what you think you can want. It's about tuning within, about one, what do you really want? What feels good? How can you honor yourself more? How can you take a little step to be who you want to be right now? One of the biggest misconceptions I see in this is in the personal development community is people feel like they need to make these great big leaps. And so they put all this pressure on themselves and they set themselves up for failure essentially. And it's like, you don't get there that way. You get there one little right step at a time. It's like each moment choosing to shift. When you're feeling fearful, choosing to soften and say, well, I'm choosing to trust. You know, when you say that, like literally just put your hands over your heart, think about whatever your biggest issue is right now and just close your eyes and be like, I'm choosing to trust. Notice how that shifts your energy instantly versus choosing to be fearful and tap into like a negative downward spiral, you know? Like it's in those little moments where we can choose love, where we can choose fear that shift things. And in those little moments where we can choose to do the same old self-sabotaging behavior or choose to sit with ourselves and be real about what we want, what we need, right? It's in those moments. I'm trying to figure out how to plug in my phone so it doesn't die. Hang on. I'm going to like just get a new angle here so I can plug in my phone. You know, when we're seeing what looks like evidence to support our old story, we can choose in that moment to go and rehash the old story. Oh, this always happens. Everyone's so shitty. I can't trust everyone, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Or you can choose to say, no, that's not my story anymore. In fact, I'm choosing to be fill in the blank with your new story in the face of what looks like the old story. You know, it's in these little mini shifts where we actually quantum leap. So Angel, if you're still here, or if you're watching the replay, you were asking about quantum leaping earlier. Sometimes it's just in these little shifts that make, and it's like we overlook it because sometimes we look at where we are and where we want to be, and it seems like the distance of the Grand Canyon, and we make up all of these stupid stories that like why we can't be there yet, why it's going to take forever, we need a big fucking miracle. And it's like, you're the miracle. You deciding to get out of your own way is the miracle. So each moment that we choose to release resistance, even if it's just a little bit at a time, where we choose to soften, where we choose to not tell a negative story, where we choose to tell the story the way we want it to be, where we choose to honor ourselves, where we choose to do whatever lights us up most, even if it doesn't make sense, even if it doesn't seem like it's logically connected to our manifestation. As we choose our alignment, as we release resistance just a little bit, a little bit, a little bit at a time, that compounds. And before you know it, you're going to be in a whole different reality, experiencing life in a whole different way. And you're going to look back and be like, I don't even know if it was one thing. It was a bunch of little things. It was me choosing myself over and over and over again. You know? Does that make sense? Reading through some of these. Josh says, doing better at living to the end with SP, but she's hurting and depressed. It's hard not to worry about her. Third party, don't treat her right. I don't focus on him much. Okay, yeah, Josh, I know it's hard when like there's like difficult situations around us, but we have to remember, like with law of assumption, circumstances don't matter. The best way to move beyond unfavorable circumstances is to pull your attention away from it and focus on you. Even if you go as simple as, I'm choosing to trust that everything's working out for me. I'm getting what I want. You can even assign a positive meaning to these things and say, I trust that some way, somehow, all of this is working towards my good. Like, maybe who fucking knows? You know, she might have issues with not seeing her self-worth. Maybe she has to be in a relationship where she's not treated well to wake her up and be like, whoa, I don't accept this anymore. You know, sometimes, you know, look at how contrast serves you. But I really encourage you, and I encourage my clients always, and this is what I always try to adhere to, is like not getting caught up in telling stories about what we see outside of us. You can, if you want to put a favorable spin on it, you can, but I would really, really recommend more of the time to be focused just on you and going general and feeling good and focus up on what's right in front of you. You know, don't get caught up in the details, because that's kind of like, you know, when Neville talks about not messing with the middle. That's what it is. Yeah, because understand that anything that's going on right now is a result of past thinking. So anytime we get involved in current circumstances, we're by default activating the old story. We're playing in the old story. The idea is to ignore the old story. Like I said earlier, Neville says like things wither and die with indifference. Ignore that old story. Do whatever you need to do to distract yourself, to just focus on you. Let it die out. If you ignore the problem, it cannot continue in your reality, because it's all happening within our conscious awareness. We get more of what we focus on. And I know it's hard because we're taught that the 3D is so real. But this is like when you come to law of assumptions, because you're really ready to take your power back. You're really ready to see things differently. Yeah? I see some people saying that they are fans of Abraham Hicks. Okay, Dana's still here. Awesome. There's a lot of comments, guys. And I'm sorry that I'm not able to get to them all. I gotta go. It's been about an hour, but I want to thank you all for being here. This was great. I intend that this was really helpful for you guys. Again, for those of you who maybe weren't here at the beginning, everything, all the ways to connect with me is linked at the top of my profile, okay? So this replay of this entire live, as well as my other lives, I've only started doing them like a couple weeks ago, but I go live at least once a week here, twice if I can, every once in a while, 3 times a week. Just to chat like this. Sometimes I read cards, like I'll pull cards, whatever I'm feeling, but always about law of assumption and to empower you. All the replays are on my YouTube channel, so that's linked at the top of my profile, as well as if you want a personal reading, if you want email coaching, if you want to look into any of my programs or my self-concept guide, any of those things, my YouTube channels, those are all linked there. Okay, my manifestation workbook too, which I talked about earlier. So you can just check everything out if you want. If you like this kind of content, if you want to catch me live, follow me. I would love to connect with you. Okay, I'm here to support you. I post something like almost every day. I usually post multiple times a day. Every once in a while I take a day off, but like there's lots of content here to support you because you are so powerful. You can have what you want, and I really want to help you get what you want. Yeah. And I know this stuff took me a long ass time to understand, but I want to just encourage you every day to keep going because you're going to get there. As long as you don't give up, you're going to get there. Okay. So there's all the ways you can connect with me and I can support you always. If you want to see what's available, check the link at the top of my profile, because sometimes the offers change. Like I was thinking of maybe opening a few one-on-one like sessions, like Zoom sessions. I haven't done those in a really long time. I've just been doing the email coaching, but feel free if that's like something you want. You can always comment on any of my videos. I'll see the comments. Like just let me know what you guys want. Like I'm here to support you guys. So let me know what would be helpful. I always am open to feedback. But yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your energy with me. Thanks for hanging out and vibing. And I'll talk with you guys soon. Bye. Have a good night.